Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the session on Python. If you remember, we have been doing NumPy, especially array handling using NumPy. Okay, and last time we learned the concept of broadcasting. Okay, and as I told you, there are some rules to be followed while doing broadcasting, and we took one example as well, where we multiplied two arrays, or we had arrays of two different dimension. Okay, the second array was broadcasted to a 4 by 3 matrix, and we got the addition result. Okay, let's go ahead and today check how to do iteration over arrays using NumPy. Now, NumPy package contains an iterator object called numpy.nditer, iter, okay, or iter, you can say. It is an efficient multi-dimensional iterator object, which it is possible to move in the array and access different elements from an array. Now, each element of an array is visited using Python's standard iterator interface. Okay. Now, if we want to take an example, what we'll do is we'll create an array of say 3 by 4 dimension using a function a range or a range. Okay, if we have done this function, we have used this function before as well. It takes three parameters. The first, the starting position, and the last, you get the end point, and it creates numbers from that particular starting to the end. And if I want to have some, you can say a value which will have intervals, we can give the intervals as well. So in today's example, we'll create a 3 by 4 array. I'm also going to make use of a function called reshape, which we saw. If I want to reach, or we have to change the dimension of an array, we can make use of this function reshape, and we have seen one of the examples in previous classes. So today I'll show you how to create an array and the simplest way of how to reshape it. Okay. So to begin with, we'll import the NumPy package. So here we have import NumPy as NP. We'll create an array A equal to NP dot, and I'm using the function arrange. Okay, and we are going to pass the value, the starting point, that let us put 0 up to say 60, and the steps or the interval between each number, I would give it as say 5. Okay, so I'll get the numbers 0, 5, 10, and so on. Now, as this will create a 1D array, I want to reshape this. So I can do that by using the function reshape. I'll write A equal to A dot reshape. Okay. Now this function takes the dimension which I want the array A to be in a particular, without deleting the data. Okay, so the data remains the same. It just changes the dimension. So I'll have some, we'll get some 12 values, like, 5 12s are 60. So I think we'll get 12 values. So we can have a dimension of 3 by 4. Okay. And let us print this matrix and see, or array, and see whether it is converted into. So I can write your original array, put a colon, and I'll display it here. So print A. So let me see whether my values are being created. Yes, here it is. So this becomes my 2D array of the dimension 3 by 4. So 3 rows, 4 columns, and you can see the intervals between each number is 5. Okay, so it starts with 0 and goes up to 55. It is not going to consider the last number. As I told you, the end number is never considered. Okay, now uh, we are going to actually see how to move around the array using the object which is provided by your NumPy. And that object which is provided is ND-ITER or NDITER, ITER, however you pronounce it. Fine. So what I'll do is I'll come here and write a loop. Now moving around the array, you require a loop. And the best loop which I can think of is my for loop. Okay, and I'll take X as an element. In is your keyword, and I can make use of the object np dot nd theta. Okay, so this is a function. It's a iterator object, okay, which will help me move around my array. Okay, it takes the parameter of the array name. So I'll pass a as my parameter. Forward, put a colon, and now I can simply print the value of X. Okay, as simple as that. And now let us run this, and here you can see it is taking each element from the array and it is displaying it down. Okay, now this is the simplest use of your ND term. Okay, now let us do something different from this. If let us say I want to display, if you look at the values now, one more thing I would like to tell you is while accessing the elements, it is not always necessary that it is going to go row wise. Now in this case, it has gone through row wise. So it is displaying 0, 5, 10, 15, and then it goes to the next row and then the last row. Okay, if I change the dimension, let us change the dimension of this array and make this as 4 by 3. 4 by 3. Okay, and I'll run this one. Now here you can see this. It has changed the dimension, and this is my array. Still it is forming here, and I'll keep it as 4 by 3, and let us find out the transpose of this. So here what I'll do is, what is the function to find the transpose of an array? If you remember, I had used T. So the name of the array dots, the capital letter T will give me the transpose of the array and store it in the variable A, B. So B is my new array with a new dimension. So the rows will become columns and the columns are going to now become rows. Now, if I display the values again using the for loop, let me check whether it displays in a different form. So I'll paste it here, and instead of A now, I'll change this to B. Okay, and run this. We'll compare both the outputs. Okay, there's hardly any change here. Fine, but please remember the Python is going to decide on its own whether to go for row-wise display of the values or column-wise. Now, if we want to specify that I want to access the elements row-wise or column-wise, I can do that as well. Now, how do I do it? There are two options which I can mention. Now, I'll come down here. We can find out the order. I'll copy this whole array into another one. So while copying, I can write C equal to. Okay. Now let me copy from A. So I'll write A dot copy. Okay. So I'm copying the array A. Now you can also write C equal to A. All the values now will be now assigned to B or C. Okay. But in this case, I'm going to change the order or the style order. So for that, we need to pass a parameter called order here. Okay, there are two orders which are available. If I want to access my array row wise, that is which is a row major. That means the first row will be accessed first, and then it will move to the next row and so on. Okay, I need to use the C style. Okay, so it is given as C programming in a way. So when I write order equal to, I can pass C. Okay, C indicates that it is a row measure. It will be sorted as row measure. And when I display the values, so if I say, I'll write the for loop again here. And this time I'll make use of C. Okay. And let me comment this for loop. Okay, so I'll have the original loop here. I'll also comment this one so that, so let me comment from here. Done. So I'll have only the original array and I'll have the values which is displayed from C. Okay, I'll run this. Okay. Now you can see by default, as in the previous case also, it was accessing the rows first. Now I'll make a small change here. The other order is column order, which is given in Fortran style. Okay, F indicates the Fortran style. Fortran is one of the languages which is used for coding, and especially Fortran was very famous for handling numerical values. Okay, for more of arithmetic and statistics and so on. So if I change this to F and now I run it, I hope it changes. Okay, here it is. So what's happening now is it is accessing the column first. So you got 0, 20, 40, and then it moves to the next column and so on. Okay, so this is the difference between your, you can say, sort style or sorted style or the order. One is your row measure and the other one is your column measure. If I want to access my array, and especially if I'm using NDITAR, okay, NDITAR, I have to give the style or the order with either C or F. C stands for C programming style, which is more of row measure, and F stands for your Fortran style, which is column measure. Okay, so you can decide the way you want to access the elements, and you can specify the order. Clear? One more thing you remember is we are using capital F here, okay, and capital C while indicating the style or the order. Okay, now it is also possible to force the IDEater object to use a specific order by explicitly mentioning it, okay, without copying it. So what I can do is, while writing the for loop itself, instead of copying it into some other variable and then accessing it, while writing the for loop like this, what I can do is inside the for loop here itself. So I'll write the for loop for x in np dot nd iter into bracket. Now in this, I'll be passing two parameters. The first parameter, as you have already seen it before, we need to pass the name of the array. So my name of the array is A. Put a comma after this. And now you can specify the order here itself. So I can give order equal to, say, F. Okay. And then I can print it out here. So I can say print into bracket X. Fine. So let me comment this whole thing. Now, when I run this, again, I'll get it in the column form because I've used F. Here you can see it is accessing the first column first, then goes to the next. If I change this to C, the order, it will access the rows first. So I get 0, 5, 10, 15, and then the next row. Okay, so order can also be specified inside the loop. Okay, so it is known as mentioning the order explicitly while accessing the elements. Okay, so this is another way of doing it. So you need not, copy the array and put it in some other variable and then access it. Next, you can also modify your array values, using id iter object. Okay, so it has another optional parameter which is called as op underscore flags. Okay, which can be set to read write, read only or write only mode. Okay, which enables you to modify your elements. Now we'll take one small example here, and we'll write into this file. I'll multiply each element. Let us multiply, take one element at a time and multiply it by 2 and check how it can be done using id iter. Okay, so I'll use a for loop here again. And now inside the for loop, I'll mention inside this object np dot nd iter. Inside this, I'll mention the op underscore flags option, and I'll keep the mode as read write mode. So the array which I want to modify, comma, then we have this option as op underscore flags. It's one of the parameters of nd iter, which can be written as equal to, and I have to mention it in the square bracket. In single quote, I can write read write. Okay, so I'll be able to perform any modification to my elements. Now, this statement is very important. When I'm accessing the element and I want to store it back in my array, I can use X, and I can use that epsilon, if you remember the sign, the 3 dots. So I can give 3 dots like this, okay, which indicates that I have to access the value of X, which is, picked up from the array A. And whatever operation I'm going to perform on X, that will be, you can say, executed, and the value will be stored back in my array. Okay, so I can write X square bracket 3 dots, which is epsilon, or ellipse, you can, sorry, it's not epsilon, ellipse. Okay, and we can write equal to the value of X multiplied by 2. Okay, so whatever value it is accessing from A, it is going to multiply by 2 and store it back in A. Right, and when I come outside the loop, once my for loop gets over and I want to print the modified array, so I can write here print. I can mention after modification, and I can display my array here. Okay, and let us see this whether it works fine. I'm going to again comment the previous lines. So here I'll put, fine, run this. Here we go. Now 0 multiplied by 2 remains 0, whereas the other values, you can see this 5 multiplied by 2 has now given me 10, then we got 20, 30, and so on. Okay, now this is the array. If I want to find out the value of X, X will have the last value. What was the last value? If you want, you can also print the value of X and check what it was. Now it will be the one which is 110 should be there in this value. So when I print this, here you can see this 110 has been displayed. Okay, so the last value it gets 110. Now because of this square bracket and this 3 dots or the ellipse, what's happening? It is storing the number back in the array after reading it and writing back the new value into it. Clear? Any doubts here? Fine, we'll go ahead. Now this is the one example of how we can modify the array, especially using your nd iter. Okay. Now we also have the different parameters, the external loop for nd iter. Okay, such as flags. Flag parameters are there. There are different types of flags options available as parameter while accessing the element using this object. The first flag is your C index, like we saw the order. We also have the flag parameter, which can be assigned to C index, which will follow the C order index. Okay. And similarly, we have F underscore index for the flags parameter. So what I can do is, instead of using OP flags, I can make change here and use only the parameter flags and assign the options. What are the different options? I won't change this one control set. I'll just write down the options for flags which can be assigned. One is C underscore index, okay, which indicates that it has to be in C order, that is row major. Then we have F underscore index. This is the second parameter, which is Fortran order, or you can call it as your column major. Okay. Then we also have multi-index, which is a type of indexes with one per iteration can be tracked, for each of them. And we also have the external loop for one dimensional. Let us take one simple example using flags with because we have already seen C and F order. I'll make use of this external loop option. Okay, so if I have the same array and we'll want to display this array using the flags option or parameter, I'll say, let me write a for loop. So I'll use for x in np dot nd data into round bracket a. And as I told you, instead of now op underscore flags, I have the other parameter called flags, which can be written again equal to, and in the square bracket, I can mention the value. So let me use this external underscore loop. Okay, your external loop causes the values given to be in one dimensional array with multiple values instead of zero dimensional array. Okay, so let us see how the output looks in when I give this parameter. Put a colon here. I'll also put the order. So you can have a combination of multiple parameters as well. It's not that you cannot have the other. So I can give order equal to, let us go for Fortran order, F, that is column wise. Okay, and I print the value of X. Okay, and let us check the output now. So this I'm going to just comment it because I don't want the new values. Yeah, I'll run this one. Okay. Now here you can see what is happening. Your single 1D array has been created. Now in the previous examples, we saw all the values one by one. It was displayed on new line, individual characters or individual elements. Whereas if I change this, if I use the parameter flags and assign the value external underscore loop, it causes the values to be given in 1D array. Okay, and these are my 1D arrays, and because I have assigned the order as F, it is taking the first column. Okay, so this is my first column, and it treats that as 1D array. So this becomes my 1D array. Clear? Why it is not a 2D array? Anyone? If you carefully look at the values, the values are in only square brackets. We don't have, in the previous example, when we displayed the original array, you can see there is extra square bracket here, and there's one at the end as well. And inside this, we have 1D arrays. Okay. Whereas in this case, we have a single, 1D arrays getting displayed. And because the order is F, we are getting the column wise. If I change this to C, I'll get it row wise. So when I run this, here you can see I'll get the whole row now. Okay. So this is treating this whole thing as 1D array from 0 up to 55. Clear? So both ways you can check it out. Sorry, capital F. So this was one output and this is the other output. Clear? Let us go ahead and see how to manipulate. We have already seen some functions, especially functions like reshape, which we saw, which helps me in changing the dimension of my you can say the array. There's one more, if you remember the last session where we saw broadcasting. I can also perform broadcasting using iteration. Okay, so it is like if we have two arrays, broadcastable. You can say we can a combined NDITR object is able to iterate upon them concurrently. Means we are going across both the arrays simultaneously. So instead of accessing one of the arrays, I can access two arrays. Let us take an example. So what I'll do is I'll create one more array here, that is B, and it will be a 1D array. So I can write B equal to np dot array, and in this I'll pass a 1D array. So how many? We have 4 rows and 3 columns. Or sorry, 4 columns, 3 rows, 4 columns. So I need 4 values. So I can pass 1, 2, 3, 4 some values here. Let me pass 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4. Now this is my 1D array. Okay, I can also mention the data type. Now to mention the data type, as you know, we use D type. So D type equal to, either you can use NP dot int, options are the various data types available, or simply you can use the Python integer type. So we can give int directly also. Okay, so this is my 1D array. Let us print this. So I'll print the array as well. Secondly, let me mark this as comments. Okay. Now let us perform broadcasting, and it is broadcastable because if you look at the two arrays, as we saw it in the previous case also, the second array is 1D array, but the number of columns which I have has to be same as the 2D array, and that's why I kept 4 elements in my 1D array, so that I can perform any calculation if you want, or any addition as well. Now, in this case, I'm not going to perform any operation. I'm just going to access the values and display it on the screen. Now, because of broadcasting, look at the values, how it is displayed. What is going to happen is whenever it accesses the first row of my multi-dimensional array, along with that, it is going to access the 1D array. When it goes to the second row of the 2D array, it will be broadcasting this 1D array. So imaginary, you can say virtual values, imaginary values will be created. So for Python, it is nothing but 2 by 2 array for both of them. That is a 3 by 4 arrays in both the cases. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This are the one from the 1D array will appear for each row of my 2D array. Okay. So what I can just write a for loop here for x comma y. So what will happen? X will access one of the arrays, and y will access the element from the other array. So I can use np dot indicator. Okay, and in the round brackets. Now, if I have to pass 2 arrays, simultaneously, and it is accessing is concurrently. Now, you cannot give it in the round brackets. It has to be passed in a square bracket. So I'll give the square brackets A, comma B. Now A is my original 2D array and B is my 1D array. Okay, and at the end, give the colon. I'm not specifying the order. The order will be treated as default, I think row wise. So it will take the first row from the 2D array and access it. Let me print the values. So I'll give print. Now here I'll use %d, the format specifier, colon one more %d. So one of the %ds is to access the values from the 2D array, that is A, and the next one I'll keep it for B. Okay, come outside the double quotes, and to mention the parameters, the values, the variables, I have to use the % sign into round bracket x comma y. Okay, so that's it, and let us now execute this. Here you can see, now this is my 2D array and 1D array. Now if you look at the first row, the values from year to year, okay, when it accesses the first row of my 2D array, it is also accessing the 1D array. Okay, When it goes to the next one, it again starts accessing the value of the 1D array from the first index position. Fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats again, again, and again. This is the concept of broadcasting, and that's why even if I perform some addition, multiplication, what happens is this number will be multiplied by this number here, 5 with 2, 10 with 3, and so on. So if you want, what I can do here is, let us use only a single value, and here I can give a multiplication. Okay, even this can be done, and multiplying the two values, and here you can see it is multiplying 0 with 1, I get 0, then 30 and 60. Fine. And again it takes this value 1 and multiplies by 2, 20, sorry, and so on. Fine. So this is broadcasting using your iteration, the object NDITR object from your NumPy. Okay, there are some different manipulation functions which are available. One of them we have already seen it before. That is your reshape. Okay, I'll just quickly write the, you can say the functions. So the first function which we saw in this example on top, you can see this one. Here itself, yeah. So some array manipulation functions. The first one is your reshape function. The second one, we have a function called flat, FLAT, flat. What it does is 1D iterator, it creates a 1D iterator over the array. So even if I have a 2D array, okay, so reshape we have already seen it. Let us see flat. So what I can do is I'll create another array here. I will write a equal to, and let us create np dot, again I'll make use of a range, and this time I'll pass only 8. So what will happen? A number from 0 to 7 will be created, and a 1D array is created. Now I can reshape this on the same line. So what I can do is I can put a dot here, okay, to my array which is created, a 1D array, and use the reshape function, reshape into round bracket, and give a new dimension to this. So we have 8 elements. So I can give say 2, 4 or 4, 2, whatever you want. 2, 4 will be my new dimension. Okay, so let me print this one, and I'll comment the previous ones. And instead of using A, let me use B, so that A is already used up. So I don't want to. Okay, and here I print the value of B. So I'm performing 2 operations here. First of all, I'm creating a 1D array using a range, and on the same line, I'm using the reshape function to get the new dimension 2 by 4. Okay, so here is my 2 by 4 array. You can see this, and the numbers from 0 to 7. Now comes your flat function. If I suppose I want to simply access a number and treat the index. Now what happens is, if I want to access the first row, I have to make use of 0 as the index position, comma, and mention the column number. Okay, so if I, let us say, if I say print, I say B square bracket 0, 1. Okay, and one more function I don't want to display. I don't want to display this. So let us comment this one as well. Okay, and when I run this, now you can see I'm 0, 1. That is the first row and the second value. Okay, now instead of using this type of indexing, I can also make use of the flat function. So I can give print into bracket k dot flat. Okay, so what it is going to do is, it is going to treat your array A as a 1D array. Let us give square bracket and give the index position 5. Okay, so whatever value is there at index position 5, it is going to display. But how it is going to treat it is this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have a 5 there. So it should give me 5 as the answer. So let us run this one. So here you can see I'm getting, how come I got a 25? 1 minute, guys. I printed the value, then I printed 0, 1, and I get 25. Guys, let me check. Let me comment this one. And 0. But why I got 25 then? Let us give 1. Okay, it is going to the second row at this. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us directly display 0, 1. So 0. Now how it is arranged is not known. So if I just display say 3 now, it's giving me 15. Great. Now this is something different I'm getting now. Okay, I'll check it out how this values. If I remove this index position, whether it will only this without. Okay, and flat. Where is flat gone? Here it is. Okay, 1D view of scalar. But how come I'm getting different values which are not a part of? Okay, we need to look into this later on. So when we come next, I'll just check it out what the issue with this flat is. Usually what should happen is it should convert my array A. Okay, sorry, we are accessing A, that's why. Fine, fine, fine. This is B. I'm so sorry. And we had used 5 here. Now it should work. Yeah, thank God. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. And because we had used B, it was B, and let us display the value of B here. And that's why I was saying how come this is. I'll display A. Okay, and let us make use of A here. Now I think it will be clear. Fine. Now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 25. Got it? So there was no error as such. There was only a problem. I was using A instead of using B. Okay. There's one more function which we can make use of, that is flattened. It returns a copy of the array collapsed into one dimension. Okay. That means it will convert the whole array into 1D array and it will return the value. Let us see the example. So here I'll come down here. Okay, just 1 minute, guys. So I'll have print, and this time I'm going to make use of the last one. This is so I'll give print. And I'll mention we can also have directly, I can write A dot flattened. Okay, and just put the empty brackets. Let us see whether it displays A as 1D array. Okay. Now here you can see this 25 came from this function flat. Okay, and we access the index position 5. And if I want the whole array to be returned, I can make use of the option flattened. Okay, Now, by default, it is going to access each row at a time. And as I told you, if you want to use the columns, if you want to access the columns first and then the rows, what I can change is I can, in the round brackets, I can mention the order here. If I mention the order as F, that is Fortran, that is column measure, what is going to happen is it is going to convert this into a column based. You can see this now. It is taking 0, 20, 40 as my first values and so on. And it is accessing column wise and converting into a 1D array. Okay. Now there's one more, and the last function we have is Ravel, R-A-V-E-L. It returns a contiguous flattened array. Okay. So this function we can also here also we can pass the order here. Okay. So instead of using flatten, I can change this one. So I can give a dot Ravel. No need of passing parameter here. Run this. Fine. It is also giving me the same output. Again, if you want, you can pass the order as well. Order equal to F, the Fortran tag. We will stop here. We have less than 1 minute left. So I'm stopping this. Yes.
So please try to post the meeting message in the BA 2021 group. Many of the students are unaware that the meeting is happening.
Why? Because I think they have created this official group of BA, right?
Yeah, but
or they are not. They are not there.
No, many students are not present in the meeting because they are unaware that the meeting is happening.
Okay, okay. Hence onwards, I'll put it in the main group then.
Okay, sir.
Right. Thanks for the
Thank
information.
You.